we present My Music. A musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here to introduce the teams is Steve Race.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My Music takes the air. Opportunity for you to take the air, unless, of course, you want to spend the next half hour in the company of our twos. Our first two, John Amis and Frank Muir. Our second two, Ian Wallace. And standing in for the indisposed, Denis Norden, Barry Took. John, start us off, if you please. Who was sitting on your left when you first heard this music? I think I've got you. For once, I think I've got
British
you.
Railways?
No. Wasn't very far from Hungerford Bridge in Charing Cross, I'll say that.
Wait a minute, all those... A lot of chaps shouting, isn't it?
Yes, 6 chaps shouting.
Ah, well, that is a bit of a giveaway. It is the King's Singers.
Yes. Who was sitting on your left when you first heard that music?
You were.
Yes, that's right. Right, the occasion, please.
Yes, that's right. It was their 100th anniversary.
Or 10th.
10th anniversary.
Yes, I was sitting next to you at the Royal Festival Hall at the King's Singers 10th anniversary concert in May 1978. That music by Stanley Glasser, that suite he wrote for them. Frank, can you identify not the composition but the band playing this? Whose band, Frank? Whose orchestra?
It's very early, isn't it?
Yes, 1927 or so, thereabouts.
Ellington?
Yes. Duke Ellington. One of Duke Ellington's.
I must say, it was a totally wild guess.
Well, the sort of wild mutes and so on.
The
those
musicality
days.
of it.
Yes, that's right, exactly. Ian, I'm going to play you exactly the same bit of the same record, and then if you ask you if you can spot where this tune originally came from. It's only a minor question, I grant you, but there's a very major answer. Have you twigged it?
Yeah, I think I get it from the first couple of bars, because it sounds like Jerusalem.
Yes.
Jerusalem.
Yes, and da-da-da-dee-da-da, or da-dee-da-da-da-ba. It's the Holy City in the minor.
In the minor key.
And it's called Black and Tan Fantasy when it's on a Duke Ellington record. Barry? Sorry, did I give you a nasty turn?
Sorry, my stomach went over.
I was only going to say it's nice to have you with us, that's all.
Well, thank you.
Still on the subject of jazz, can you identify this violinist?
Well, I can't, but if I tell you the names of the 4 jazz violinists I know, would you nod when I come to the right one?
It's 4 times as many as most people know, right. Okay.
Well, Stefan Grappelli, no nod. Stuff Smith, and that's not a... I'm not being rude, Man's name, no. Ray Nance.
You've got to be right next time.
Well, I'm going to be the big winner. Joe Venuti.
Yeah, Joe Venuti. Nod. Yes,
Joe Venuti. Joe Venuti plays... Yes. Well, no, don't hesitate if you wish to applaud.
You were really doing it in the Miss World order.
Yeah, well, yes, in reverse order. I don't know why. I've always been fascinated by jazz violin, and there's very few. And Stefan Grappelli and Django Reinhardt, those Hot Club de France, those are wonderful.
Yes.
And he played with Eddie Lang, didn't he, the guitar player?
Joe Venuti did, yes.
Joe Venuti with Eddie Lang.
Yes. And the great bass sax player who was on a lot of those records, Adrian Rollini was the man there. Joe Venuti was a lovely man. He was a joker. It was Joe Venuti, you know, who... his great pal was Wingy Manone, the one-armed trumpet player. And for Christmas one year, Joe Venuti sent him a cufflink. The same Joe Venuti called music critics empty suits.
Terrific. I must say, though, you say that. I think you invented one of the funniest jazz creations. I'm sure it was you. Invented many years ago. One Lip Lundigan. The trumpet player, is that you?
I did, yes. I forgot
you used to write for the Melody Maker.
Yes, One Lip
the great jazz trumpet player, not heard of much these days. One Lip Lundigan. That was a marvellous conceit.
I hadn't thought of it myself for 20 years or something.
No, I thought it was terrifically funny.
Talking about critics being empty suits, that marvellous story about the other one that you mentioned, Stefan Grappelli, when he was asked to play at some great function of nudists. And he had decided that he would fall in with the whole thing, and came onto the platform to play stark naked to find that the audience had all dressed.
I won't tell you about Stuff Smith because...
In this next round, I don't want to know what the music is called. I know that already. What I want to know, please, is how many performers are involved? Right, John, how many performers here?
That I once took part in a performance of that piece conducted by Michael Tippett. It's the 40-part motet by Thomas Tallis.
Spem
just
in
14
Allium.
singers there.
40. Spem
Marvellous piece.
In Allium. Or in that performance, 39 and John Amis. No, you're right. Spem in Allium for 40 voices.
You never get ill, do you, Steve Ray?
No, I don't. I daren't. I daren't.
So easy, these rounds, aren't they, Barry?
Oh, wonderful. It's like a home away from home.
Frank, your turn. How many performers in this song? 40.
There should no breeze with a bunch of trees.
Ooh. Swinging the axes.
Yeah, it's... is that lovely? One of the first, wasn't it, film musicals, especially written for the films.
Oh, especially written. That's so.
Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Yes, they were the seven
I didn't hear any brides. No. So, at a rough guess...
we'll have the
or
brothers.
Is it a trick?
No, not as far as
seven.
Yes, seven.
Steve,
Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Yeah. Ian, how many singers here?
So very kind to give a Scotsman a Scottish opera.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes.
Lucy of Lammermoor, or Lucia di Lammermoor. And they usually try and raise 6 people for that.
For the sextet.
Sounds better.
Sounded as though they were singing through a suet pudding.
Yes, there was some rather going on there.
Good thing I didn't ask you to write down the words as you heard them. That would be a test.
Well, I'm afraid it would have been a blank sheet of paper handed into the examiner.
Barry, not an easy one, but I think you can work it out. How many singers only, here?
Going to Chicago. Sorry, but I can't take you. I can't shut down. Going back to my town. Going to Chicago. sorry, but I can't take you.
Well, we've had 40.
And we've had 7.
And we've had 6.
And we've had 6.
Sounds of it's coming down.
It does a bit, doesn't it?
Beyond that, I can't help you.
It's more than one.
It's more than 1 and less than 6.
Yeah.
Would 4 be?
4 will get you a mark.
Would 4 be the answer?
Yes, yes, that's right.
I thought it might.
Did you recognise any of them? Did you recognise anybody there?
Sammy Davis Jr.
No. Joe Williams with Lambert, Hendricks and Ross. They're the other 3 voices
really?
with the Count Basie.
Well, Annie Ross and...
Go and Chicago, yes.
Oh, really? How nice.
Yeah.
Smashing girl.
Now, I wonder what each of you would choose as being the most beautiful sound in all music. It's quite serious. A particular singer, an instrument, a passage from a score, a record. It's a heck of a thing to ask, but I thought we'd find out. John, the most beautiful sound, just off the top of your head, the most beautiful sound in all music. Yes.
Well, I think the string quartet is the most beautiful sound that I know. But on the other hand, there's one other thing which I find very, very beautiful when one has the luck to hear it. When a piece ends quietly in a concert and there is a moment of silence, usually before some idiot comes in and wrecks it by applauding. And I think that is a very, very beautiful moment. Yes. Also, in certain works, when there is silence in the middle of a piece, Mozart Adagio, that silence, I think,
yes,
is very wonderful.
You've started us off beautifully, I think.
Yeah.
Frank, the most beautiful sound in all music.
Really, it's an impossible question, isn't it? But asked in the best possible way. Yeah. The music which has given me more pleasure, I think, in my life was the wedding march. Because it was when I finally got married and all that engagement, dreadful rubbish, is it on or isn't it off, was over, and all the wedding ceremony was over, and one marched up. 31 years ago, one marched up the aisle, and that was the most beautiful sound, I think.
Yes. Ian, the most beautiful sound in music?
As Frank said, it is a very difficult question to answer, and I suspect that every single person that one would ask would have a different idea and might violently disagree with other people's point of view. I think because the most beautiful things in music can suddenly emerge because of a particular performance, and as Frank has just said, a particular occasion. One can suddenly be hit in the midriff with something that perhaps one hadn't even noticed before. I remember many years ago singing in the opera La Bohème and suddenly realizing in a performance something that I hadn't realized before. In the last act, when Mimi is dying and she sings about, she says in English, there are so many things I have to tell you, she says to Rudolph beside the bed. And then, she describes some of these things that she wants to tell him about. And then she dies, and the orchestra plays a reprise of this, so many things there are I have to tell you, and you know now that she's never going to tell him. And although I was in this performance, I found myself with the tears rolling down my face, not at the acting, but at this marvellous thing that the producer had done. Some people would call it terribly corny, but for me at that moment it was very beautiful.
Marvellous moment. Yeah. Barry, most beautiful sound.
Well, everybody talked about the difficulty of it, but I have a particular liking for Purcell. Not all of Purcell, some of it is tedious, I think, but some of the songs are beautiful. And there's one that I first came across in the Beggar's Opera called, I think, A Virgin's a Fair Flower, or something like that. And then I came across, by chance, listening to Radio 3 when I was in hospital, and it's called What Shall I Do? What shall I do? You know how it goes. And it's from an opera called Diocletian. And that's what I would say for me was the most beautiful. It's got a very pure, what shall I do to show her I love her?
I thought it might be an idea from the end of this, having warning, of course, since I make up these questions, if I found a bit of a record, an actual performance, which is available to all, which I think I would class as the most beautiful moments of sound in all music. I wonder if you'll guess what it is. Anyway, this is the one I chose. By Allegri. It's a recording by the choir of King's College, Cambridge, under Sir David Wilcox. I think that's one of the loveliest sounds one could ever wish to hear. Well now, on my piano here I'm going to play some introductions. If my guess is correct, this first one will mean different things to John and Frank. Anyway, we shall see. So John, you first. What is this?
Leonora?
Yes.
Overture? Beethoven.
By Beethoven, yes.
I'm not going to commit myself to a number because it's in all of them.
Fair.
If I say 2, you say 3. If I say 1, you say 2.
No, it doesn't matter. Frank, what did you recognise it? And if so, what did you think it was? Shall I play it for you again?
Same. It sounded rather sort of Western American.
Well, that's interesting. Here, not quite Western, but this is where you've also heard it. Listen.
I used to dream that I would discover...
Gilbert.
An old Helen Morgan recording, yes. It's the actual written introduction of Bill.
Just
Long
like
Came Bill, yeah.
Lyrics
Jerome
by...
Kern wrote it in 1927, and I've no idea why he used that Beethoven phrase, except that, of course, that was Beethoven's centenary year, John, wasn't it? Just a little bit of fun Jerome Kern had.
P.G. Woodhouse wrote the lyrics.
The lyrics, yes, that's right. Ian, over to you. To what is this the introduction?
They're playing Frank's song.
Yes.
And when I finally got married... But I've got to be very careful what I say because my wife is in the audience. We marched up the aisle.
I wanted the opportunity to tell you that I had a letter from Mrs. Philip Miles of Bournemouth, whose husband was a noted organist. In the vestry after their marriage, she was just preparing to march out into the body of the church, and that music was just beginning, when her husband heard that introduction with it, you know, the triple dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum. He called out to her in a loud voice that everybody in the church could hear, "Don't forget, dear, wait for the triplets." She then marched out into the aisle. Barry, we're still doing these introductions. Can you remember what follows this introduction?
Happy birthday, dear Stephen. Happy birthday to you.
No, it's a rhythm piece, instrumental from the war years. And it goes on.
I'm sorry, I'm stumped. Oh, goodness me. Now what is it?
Ray Noble's Cherokee.
Oh, Cherokee, yes.
Cherokee.
I'm sorry, I should have known that, shouldn't I?
You don't
I'm
get
sorry I
to
let you down. Did you know
No, I didn't, and I thought you made a brave try.
Right.
Another
That's
of
kind,
us.
as we've only known each other half an hour. Wonderful.
Cherokee. We all remember the stars of the great musicals, but it's not so easy to remember the names of the characters that they played. I've been looking at a book of Broadway photographs and the captions underneath the pictures. So, John, below the picture, the caption reads, "Freddie Eynsford Hill with Mrs. Higgins at the races." What show would that be?
Freddie?
Eynsford Hill.
Oh, Piggers.
Yes, or...
Pygmalion.
Yeah,
My Fair Lady.
My Fair Lady, that's right. Frank, the caption under yours reads, Sky with Big Julie and Nathan Detroit.
Guys and dolls.
Thank you. Yes, won't take long, this one. Ian, again, I quote from a photo caption, Fred Graham gives vent to his feelings towards his leading lady, Lily Vanessa, during a performance.
Kiss Me Kate.
That's right. Barry, do you ever think about Barbara Streisand, Barry?
Not lately, thank you.
Well, that's a hint for you. Quote, Dr. Mark Bruckner tries to cure Daisy Gamble of the smoking habit.
Well, as it's obviously the answer is a musical, and as I know the only two musicals I know that she's been in, one was called Funny Girl and the other one wasn't. I'm going to go for Funny Girl.
I'll tell you in 4 notes you're wrong.
On a clear day.
Yes.
You can
came from On a Clear Day. Yeah.
Well, you see, I said I only knew 2, and that wasn't the other one. The other one was Hello, Dolly. It would have been even worse if I'd said Hello, Dolly.
We come to the last round, the party pieces. Schumann starts us off from the last round this week, but he doesn't persist right through the 4 songs. There you go. John, your party piece, Im Wunderschönen, from Schumann's Dichterliebe. In the lovely month of May, love unfolded in my heart. It's absolutely lovely, this. Shall we do our best, shall we?
All yours.
Just let me get my little bit of music in order.
Im wunderschönen Monat Mai, als alle Knospen sprangen, da ist in meinem Herzen die Liebe aufgegangen. Im wunderschönen Monat Mai, als alle Vögel sangen, da hab ihr hier gestanden, mein Sehnen und Verlangen.
Thank you.
I thought that was good.
Not very easy without rehearsal.
No,
Right?
absolutely without rehearsal. Im Wunderschönen from Schumann's Dichterliebe, for those who'd like to get a record of it. Beautiful.
The trout. I have.
No, you won't have the trout. You'll have something...
Trout's off.
Well, no, trout's off. Salad days is on. Yes. We said we'd never look back. Right?
If I start looking behind me and begin retracing my track, I'll remind you to remind me we said we wouldn't look back. And if you should happen to find me with an outlook dreary and black, I'll remind you to remind me we said we'd never look back.
That's enough, I think. Barry, your turn. I know that you, like Frank, have a taste for the old music hall songs, Edwardian and even earlier. Can you remember one that mentions Grace Darling?
Yes, I can.
A topical song about Grace Darling.
Well, yes, they're fascinating songs at that time because they sort of illustrated people's attitudes to each other when, in that time before they walked up the aisle. He calls me his own Grace Darling. He says that I'm his pet. I fill each place within his soul. There ain't no cod, you bet. Now I asked him if he loved me. I said, what, oh, not ah. I love you just for your whiskers, 'cause they tickles me and makes me laugh. And there it is, in its entirety.
Ian, a request from Pat someone, I can't read the second name, for the Lewis Bridal song. unaccompanied, I think.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the wedding march.
No. No, not that. No.
Could you sort of give me something round about a key of G?
Yes.
Step we gaily on we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in arm and row, all for Mary's wedding. Over hill winds up and down, myrtle green and bracken brown, o'er the shillings to the town, all for sake of Mary. Step we gaily on we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in arm and row, all for Mary's wedding. Step we gaily on we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in arm and row, all for Mary's wedding.
Makes you want to order a double portion of sporran, doesn't it? Lovely. Lewis, the bridal song. Well, that's all we have. Another programme ends in a song from Ian. A victory. By 1 mark, as it happens. A victory for John Amis and Frank Muir. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were John Amis, Frank Muir, Barry Took and Ian Wallace. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Steve Race and the programme was produced by Tony Schrein. We present My Music. A musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schrein. And here to introduce the teams is Steve Race.
Hello, once again, we welcome you to My Music, and that means to the company of John Amis and Frank Muir, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. First question to John Amis, as always. John, the various movements of a particular work are given strange markings like trio estatico, presto deliriado, and largo desolato. Here's a taste of the music.
What would you like to know?
Lovely. Whose music, John?
Well, it's Alban Berg.
Yes.
And I can see when I say the title of the piece, a lot of people saying, "Core blimey," because it's actually called Lyric Suite.
Yes. The Lyric Suite from the String Quartet. Frank, here are
All
two...
I know is con brio with cheese.
That's true. It isn't about that, actually. It's two great entertainers whom you may not realise have recorded together. Anyway, their names, please.
Is the pianist large and Canadian?
Yes.
Oscar Peterson.
Oscar Peterson with...
Fred Astaire.
Yeah, Fred Astaire. Fred Astaire with Oscar Peterson, too.
I must say that tap dancing on a gramophone record is like a ventriloquist on radio, isn't it?
Do any of you, apart from Denis, remember the great radio favourites, the 8 Step Sisters?
Yes.
Remember them, Ian? The 8 Step Sisters. Clatter, clatter, bang, bang. Curious kind of radio entertainment. Anyway, that was Fred Astaire with Oscar Peterson. You've got a mark too, Frank. Ian, I'm going to play you a recording of Chopin's A Major Polonaise. It was recorded either by me or by Paderewski. And you have to guess which it is, okay? Here's the record.
Well, I'm placed in an appalling dilemma.
You are.
Because here is a situation where I have to decide, could you have been Prime Minister of Poland? Correct. Or could he have played like that?
I think you're getting warm.
Well, I almost insult either of you to say which it is. So I'm going to suggest that you perhaps tacked on that bit of at the beginning.
That came from him, and the piano playing came from me, and you have a mark. Dennis, here's a popular pop record. Ian's was a bit on the easy side, so I want two names from you, please. A painter's name and a singer's name.
Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free.
It was either going to be Mona Lisa and how I said before we started, or it was going to be Vincent and Don McLean.
And which was it?
It was Vincent and Don McLean and Van Gogh. Yeah.
Vincent being Van Gogh, yes, that's right. Everybody's got a mark in that first round. We're going back into musical history and even back into literary history in a sense now. John, I quote, "Our pleasure was increased by the arrival of the Gilbert band, mustering 15 strong. After the usual carols, we set them to songs and glees." John, where might you have heard the Gilbert band?
How do you spell it? G-I?
Gimmerton. Don't know.
At a mere guess, is Gilberton in Dorset?
No, it's much further north. So try...
it'll not be Thomas Hardy then, will
no,
it?
I knew you were thinking of Hardy, much further north.
Much earlier?
Should I give you a clue for 0.1 of a mark?
Well, Bronte or Auntie Broston?
Yes.
Bronte Austin?
The clue I was going to give you was the next line. Mrs. Earnshaw loved the music. You might have got that. Yes. Which of the Brontes would you like?
I think I would choose Emily.
Yes, Emily Bronte. It comes from Wuthering Heights. Emily Bronte. Or Brunty, to give her a real original name. Half a mark. Right? It's your second choice of county.
That's on mine.
Frank, you will of course know the two lines of the song that gave rise to the word jingoism. You know, we don't want to fight, but by jingo if we do. We've got the ships, we've got the men, we've got the money too. But do you know the remaining two lines of that chorus?
I know that.
You do?
You've cheated. I could give you we've got the men, we've got the ships,
Yes.
we've got the money too.
But not... We don't want to fight.
It's the Crimean War.
We do, yes. We got the ships, we got the men, we got the money too. We've
rather fallen down on the answer to this question. I know we've got the money and the men and the ships.
It's lesser known, but the next two lines are, "We fought the bear before, and while we're Britain's true, the Russians shall not have Constantinople." Ian, what can you tell me about Love in a Village?
Well, not a lot really, because I live in the town.
It's easier than Love in Bath, isn't it? The well-known ballet
Yes.
score.
Well, I would think it's a ballad opera.
Yes.
Probably 18th century, because that's when most ballad operas...
Yes, sorry, I interrupted you. Yes.
Oh, that was a subtle hint, wasn't it? That's Mr. Arne, or rather Dr. Arne,
Yes.
I beg his pardon, who wrote
Thomas Arne, an 18th century musical drama called Love in a Village. And you have a half mark, which is equivalent to John's half mark, because I helped him.
Thank you. Very, very gracious of you, Steve. Thank you.
The ballad opera the canon of ballad operas consists of beggar's opera first and the rest nowhere.
Yes, the rest nowhere, absolutely. Yes, it does, doesn't it? Dennis, on the 25th of January 1660, Samuel Pepys reported that he was invited by Lady Wright's butler to join him in the buttery for a special purpose. What happened in the buttery?
Did you say the 25th of January?
Yes, I did actually. Yes.
Yes, that would be a Thursday. The butler invited him into the buttery.
Yes.
He's got an idea for a show called Grease. I know that you're a Pepys freak, and
Yes,
there are
I'm a
only
Pepys
three
freak.
things I know that Pepys would do. He'd either go to bed,
Yes.
which is unlikely. Do something about the Navy. Yes. Or plays flute. Wasn't he a great... Right. Yes.
It was music and women are the two things he could never resist.
Yes, well, if it was women, it would be in Latin, you see, in that weird code, dog Latin. Yeah.
Yes, that's right, it would in the diary, yes. What happened was the butler played Pepys a solo on his lute.
Oh, I see.
I see.
In the buttery?
Yes, in the buttery.
I suppose it's the equivalent of doing it like singing in the bathroom. Things sound better in the buttery.
That's right. Lutes sound better in butteries. That's right. You don't get a mark, but it's nice to find out. They used to be called novelty piano solos. Remember that? In the days when people didn't so much play the piano as tickle the ivories. Title, please, of these bits of ivory ticklings. John, title of this for you, or from you.
Well, it's Jot Scotland, that I know, and it was in that film, wasn't it, called whatever it was?
Sting.
Scott Joplin. And it's called Partner.
Is it Maple?
No, it's the other one.
Oh, gosh.
You don't know it, do you? You don't know the Swingles version of it? Good vocal version.
Oh, I'm
it's with the same title, actually.
What?
It's called The Entertainer. Well, half a mark. Half a mark. Frank, yours, like Ian's, is from the middle of something. Ready?
It's holidays today. It's the wedding of the painted doll.
Wedding of the painted doll. A mark for that. That's right. Ian, right? Again, a middle.
A great wave of nostalgia
right.
overcomes me with that Marigold.
Marigold
Billy
by
Mayall.
Billy Mayall, that's right. The one that goes... Dennis.
That was Paderewski, the way you played.
Dennis, what was this called? And so on.
Oh, I don't think I ever knew what it was called, but it was great favourite with cinema organists.
Yes.
And they used to play it in those sort of travel films when there was a snow scene or people skiing and so on. But I never knew what that was called.
Well, I'll tell you now, and you'll remember for the rest of the time, won't you?
Well, I'll remember till I get to the car.
It was called Flapperette.
Ah.
That's two things in a cinema, a flapperette and an usherette.
We're going to play the numbers game. In front of each of you is a pad and a pencil or pen, which you will certainly need. Various singers are going to sing you numbers like T for 2, or 5 minutes more, or thanks a million, or just a line like once a minor, 49er, which will count as 49. What you have to do is write down and eventually please add up every number you hear. But it must be a legitimate number. T-double-O, and her mother came too, doesn't count as TWO, you see? So any genuine, legitimate number you hear, write down and add up.
You've got a pocket calculator.
So you've got the idea. You'll have to write rather smartly, and you've got to be bilingual at one point. Here we go then with all four of you on the same medley, your numbers medley.
Months and 10 more days I'll be out of the calaboose. In 11 more months and 10 more days they're going to turn me loose. 76 trombones led the big parade with 110 cornets close at hand.
Make it one for my babe and one more for the road.
Right. While you four are adding up your sums, the rest of us will enjoy ourselves with a little background music provided by Richard Stilgoe.
4,600,000
700,000 891.
Richard describes that as his favourite number, and I'm not surprised. Well, you've got your totals. John, have you got a total, please?
Well, I missed out on the first one because I was trying to remember which work of Benjamin Britten it was, which didn't help.
Inchworm.
I'd say about 250.
250, approx, right.
Yes.
Frank, what have you got down as a total, please?
346, except for the German entry. Which I couldn't hear.
346 plus, right.
It's Italian.
Ian.
Was it?
My ears didn't really get attuned to the first piece until we were halfway through it, but I've just come up with a total of 408.
408, thank you. Dead, right. Dennis, your total?
Well, I've got to the adding up sums, but I got the first one 120, the second one 42, the third one 186, the fourth one, my Italian got me up to 89, but I think I missed one out, and then the last one is 2. But I haven't added. Would I have been right if I'd added that? How far?
Not quite, but you would have been fairly good, actually.
Would I?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't can't do adding up. Not with all 10 fingers in view.
I think what you said would be something over 400, wouldn't it? 400, shall we say 420 offhand for you, right?
Make it 435, you've got yourself a
435, right, okay. Right, I'll tell you what we'll do. Look, we'll play the medley again, and I will actually name, as they're named, if I can do it, the numbers, and anybody who wants to at home can add them up, sort of mental arithmetic, and then we'll check afterwards. Right, off we go. 2, 2, 4, 4, 4, 8, 8, 16, 16, 16, 32, 11, 10, 11, 10, 76, 110, 5, 10, 20, 30, 36,
make it 1 for my baby, and one more for the road.
That long, long road. Total 451, and the nearest was Dennis with 435. Dennis, you got a mark.
I was right, except for the Italian entry. Well.
Here's the opening of a pleasant little song sung by some children from Heritage Primary School, Uxbridge.
I see a little man standing in the wood.
Now, you may wonder how that song goes on. Okay, we'll ask our 4 contestants to provide a second line. I saw a little man standing in the wood. What, I wonder, comes next? I'll play that line, John, and then you come in with whatever second line enters your head. Here it is.
I see a little man standing in the wood.
He was wearing just a hat and he looked so good.
Very good. Good character acting to boot. Very good. Frank, here's the same record line, and then you this time. Right.
I see a little man standing in the wood.
We get a lot of them in our neighbourhood.
Do you think 2 marks out of 1? Yes, I do. 2 out of 1 for that, Frank, definitely, yes. Right. Ian, it's your turn next.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yes. I see a little man standing in the wood.
I asked, what are you doing? He said, don't be rude.
Not bad either. Dennis, yours. Here are the children again.
I see a
It wasn't Little John, it could be Robin Hood.
Does that get a bonus too? You cancel them out? Oh well, all right, we'll get a bonus. I think it perhaps only fair to the children in Uxbridge to let them sing a complete verse for us.
I see a little man standing in the court, and wrapped around his head is a spotted hood. Will somebody please tell me who that little man can be, who's standing white and still in the deep dark wood?
Not as good as Frank's, is it? No. All right, let's press on. In an old book of opera plots, I found some last lines. In other words, descriptions of the final moment in the opera before the curtain falls. I want to see if you can identify the operas concerned. Right, John, I quote. The villagers seize him as he stands quietly over his expiring victims, saying, the play is over.
Well, that's not so very hard. I think it's Friendly Bertie or Pally Archie.
Yes, that's right. Pagliacci, yes, that's right. Frank, they light cigarettes and the serenity of the honeymoon returns.
Carmen.
Oh, because she worked in a cigarette factory.
Yes. Well, it was not bad, though, was it?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Eh? Oh, that's not an opera, is it?
Yes, it is. It's an opera about a fag, John. Frank.
But he thinks it's a fag called Susanna's Secret.
Yes, that's right. It is. That's right. By John. Oh.
Not Chimarosa. What the?
No, chap with a siphon.
Ferrari.
Yeah, Wolf Ferrari, yes. Susanna's Secret. The secret being that she smoked.
What?
The secret was that she smoked, wasn't it? That was Susanna's secret. You've got a mark for your side. Ian, the old workman shakes his fist. Oh, Paris, he cries, heartbroken.
Oh, yes. That's, every little bird seems to whisper, Louise.
I was going to give you a clue.
You're
right, yes.
Depuis le jour.
Lovely, yes. Yes, Louise By, well-known boxer.
Charpentier.
Louise By Charpentier, yes, that's right. Yes, you're absolutely right. Dennis, she departs with Johnson for an eastern state where they are to be married and begin life anew.
I'm just going through my extensive knowledge of opera for an aria entitled I am departing with Johnson for an eastern state.
The word Johnson is helpful.
It's helpful to some, yes.
It's an unusual name of a member of a cast for Puccini to have used.
Yes, that's right.
But it was from an opera called The Girl of the Golden West.
That's right.
With that lovely title, La Fanciulla del West.
Del West, yes. Girl of the Golden West by Puccini, you're right. And so we approach the eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation between Denis Norden and St. Cecilia with singing. Each of our foursome gets a party piece to sing, something he knows, something he likes, though he may not be expecting it just at this particular moment. John, you'll know this musical phrase. Okay, from Donizetti's Don Pasquale.
Yes,
okay.
One of Ian's operas, isn't it?
Sung by Ernesto. On this occasion, sung by you. Okay.
Lucky it's a tenor aria, not bass baritone.
I'll give you a vamp till ready.
Jusqu'après.
Charlie and Don Pasquale. What? Oh, that's right.
Come gentil la notte mezz'april, azzurri ciel, la luna senza vol. Tutela nuova, paci mister l'amor, magna perché ancor non vieni a me.
Frank, that was very sweet. The theme of all the songs this week is sweetness. In your case, when you were sweet 16. I'm trying to find a not too excruciating key for you.
Come.
I think
Come. I love you as I never loved before. Since I first met you on the village green. Come to me, or my dream of love is o'er. I love you as I loved you when you were sweet. When you were sweet, 16.
Dennis, a song written by the old team of Weston and Lee, R.P. Weston and Bert Lee, written in 1923. Ain't it nice when he offers you a poppy? Ain't it nice when he looks at you all sloppy? And so on.
Ain't it nice when a bee that's after honey tumbles down your back, and though you're most precise, when he puts his thumb and finger down your back to catch that stinger, and you feel it kind of linger, ain't it nice?
Ian.
Wonderful lyric with finger.
I know. That kind of steamy veiled eroticism that they had at that time.
Ian, there's a theme in the second Brahms piano concerto that I think caught Richard Rodgers' attention. It goes... very much, it's one of the sweetest sounds in that concerto, and it's very much like Rodgers' sweetest sounds, isn't it? So I'll give you another key, but can you do it?
I think Richard Rodgers' version is probably easier for me to sing.
The sweetest sounds I'll ever hear are still inside my head. The kindest words I'll ever know are waiting to be said. The most entrancing sight of all is still for me to see, and the dearest love in all the world is waiting somewhere for me, is waiting somewhere for me, somewhere for me, somewhere for me.
And on those very sweet sounds, we leave you this week a victory for Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were John Amos, Frank Muir, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Steve Race, and the programme was produced by Tony Schreier. We present My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here to introduce the teams is Steve Race.
Thank you. Welcome to My Music, and another chance to meet our resident teams. John Amos and Frank Muir versus Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. John, identify a voice for us. This voice.
La donna è mobile, qual piuma al vento, muta
Whose voice?
Well, you know, last time there was a name mentioned and I said I'd actually spoken to that person on the telephone today. Denis Norden was pushed into claiming acquaintance with the prophet Ezekiel, I remember.
Next one mentioned.
So
yes.
I'm going to challenge him this evening by saying it so happens, I think this is Nikolai Yedda.
Yes.
And it so happened that I was talking to him on the telephone this morning. It's uncanny. It's uncanny, isn't it?
Did you say buongiorno?
No, I didn't, because he's Swedish.
He was singing in Italian, that's what threw me. Yeah.
But
Nikolai...
one thing he did tell me, which is a very interesting bit of news, is that he's got a son called Dmitri, and his son has passed an audition with the Metropolitan New York. He's only 18 months.
Madame Butterfly's son.
That's right.
Yeah. That's a guess.
They'll have plenty of trouble.
I would have said Nikolai Gedda. You said Yedda, is that correct?
I think he calls it Yedda, but yes. I mean...
Nikolai, we most of them call him Nikolai Gedda. I had a lovely letter from one of our supporters, John Lendrum, who lives near Cheltenham. He mentioned in his letter the small son of a friend who was asking his parents to get him a record of a song called Elephant's Ears. And then none of them knew what Elephant's Ears was, until they found that he might have interpreted that as the very end of this song. So anyway, I jumped to the end of this recording by Nikolai Gedda of La Donna Immobile, and you listen to him singing Elephant's Ears. Listen.
Elephant's ears.
All I can say is thank you, John Lendrum of near Cheltenham, for that. That's very much. Elephant's Ears.
There's a marvellous bit of
That's what happens when you sing Italian with a Swedish accent.
That's right. Yes.
It proves my point.
Yeah. Something, Frank, very different for you, a touch of early jazz. Believe it or not, is how the record ends, yes. Frank, was that a record made by the Stokers of Hades, the Chocolate Dandies, J.C. Higginbottom and his Six Hicks, or Sharky Banana with the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields?
I gather some of those groups do not exist.
Only one is a combination.
Well, J.C. Higginbottom existed.
Yes.
Maybe it still exists. I don't know.
And a trombone player to boot. That's right. J.C. Higginbottom and his Six Hicks playing Higginbottom Blues, and he was scrounged a mark there. Yes. Ian, one thing about the music of Rossini, you always know when it's drawing to a conclusion, however lengthy the conclusion. In this case, it's the conclusion, please, of what?
That is the overture to... I never can pronounce this.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Elephant's Ears. Semiramide.
Semiramide, yes. He knew how to get applause out of an audience.
Oh, rather.
That man knew, yes.
I wonder if I dare. It's so long since I told my only Semiramide story on this programme. It concerned the RAF Technical Training Command Orchestra during the war, who had some very, very good players, but they had nobody who could play the bassoon. At least not up to the standard of the others. And they had a lot of spare pianists, and they decided they would get one of the pianists to play the bassoon part on a harmonium, because it sounded more like a bassoon than any of the bassoonists that they'd got. And all went well until they did their first concert away from their base, and they put all the instruments into a truck and took them miles and miles and miles, and only when they got there for this concert did they realize they'd forgotten to bring the harmonium with them. So the conductor said to the sergeant to take a truck and go around any village hall, church, anywhere, look through the window, see if there was a harmonium in there, break in, grab it, and they pay compensation afterwards. So at the 11th hour, the truck comes in to this hangar, and they've got this dusty old harmonium. They rush out with it with its brass handles and plant it in the middle of the orchestra, and they are playing. The first piece is the overture to Semiramide, and there comes a point quite soon in this overture where there is a trio with the bassoon on the bottom of it that goes, well, the strings go, pa-dee-da-dee-dee, and then with the bassoon on the bottom, the rest go, bom, 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 bom. So they start off, and this chap's sitting at the harmonium, and they've not had time to rehearse or anything. And it gets to this bit, and the conductor turns to the strings and brings them in, and they go, dee-da-da-dee-dee. And then he turns and points in the direction of the chap on the harmonium. But unfortunately, he's pedalling away like mad. Instead of hearing, bom, 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 all that came out was...
That's harmoniums for you, yes, absolutely.
That's another time I would tell my story about Semiramide, but this evening, since you've told that so beautifully, I won't tell the story, which is that I came out of a performance of Semiramide at 2:30 in the morning at La Scala, and my friend said, well, if that was Semiramide, how long would a whole Ramide take?
Now, can we have Denis's story of Semiramide?
Dennis, the treasury of Semiramide.
Yes, in the absence of a Semiramide story, I'm going to play you just 4 notes and ask you where you've heard them before. Right? Or perhaps...
Oh, yeah. Isn't that the sound that establishes the communication in Close Encounters?
I was going to say, where have you encountered that phrase?
Yeah,
yes.
I didn't recognise it on the high bit, on the low bit.
Yes, it's the fateful 4 notes in the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You got them up. Gentlemen, cast your minds back to those scrumptious days spent at Nanny's knee, nursery tea, and especially the hour between 6 and 7 when you were allowed to see Mummy and Daddy. Here are some nursery rhymes. Each of you, though, has a missing word, or missing 2 words, perhaps. Can you supply from memory the missing word? John, here's yours.
The King of Spain's daughter came to visit me, and all for the sake of my little...
King of Spain's daughter came to visit me, and all on account of my little...
Nut brown tree.
Nearly, yes. Good enough, my little nut tree. Yes. Frank, one for you.
Rings on her fingers and bells on her toes, she shall have wherever.
Yes.
Seemed vastly amused on the record, didn't it? She shall have music.
Yes, wherever she goes. All right. Ian, your turn.
Jack fell down and broke his...
Crown. Yes. Dennis, be very, very careful with yours.
There was a little man and he had a little...
Well,
and his was made of lead, yes.
Yes, it was, that's right.
And the bullet, it had a little gun. Actually,
it was a gun, yes.
Frank and I once got in tremendous trouble for doing that. Remember, Frank? On a programme. And we just simply did what you've just done. We took popular songs of the day. I remember we did I'll Be You in all the old familiar places.
Another one.
Nothing wrong with it.
I kiss your little madam. But no, we wrote it for John Pertwee for a cabaret, and the manager went white at the Café Royal. He was taken off.
And then we did one in a broadcast where we did the get out of here with the and never come back no more. And the BBC swore blind that it was... Do you remember when the Stone of Scone was stolen, where the Scottish kings, and it was sort of a semi-sacred object, and they thought it was an indirect, snide reference to the Stone of Scone. It was just And we literally were on the carpet
with
in
a
front.
stone of scones.
Yeah, get out of here with your stone.
Jacobite things.
Well, yes.
In people's mouths.
Let's try another round, shall we? Some middle bits on my piano here. A mark if you guess the title, but a penalty mark if you sing by mistake. Okay? So, John, here's yours. Title?
Well, we, by a process of osmosis, think it's the Donkey's Serenade.
That's right. Gets you a mark. Frank, here's your middle bit.
It's a sort of general purpose middle age.
It is a bit, yes.
30s and 40s. It's sort of go into almost everything.
40s, I think, the tune.
40s,
Boyd.
American Bird, do you mean?
Well, about American. American song.
Flamingo.
Flamingo, yes. Half a mark would do, I think, for that. Yes.
We'll stand on one leg, anyway.
Yes. Ian, your middle bit? Singing.
Deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart is the title.
Dear.
Yes. Oh, but you did a little bit of humming there.
I did.
Yes,
But
right.
so did you know.
Forfeit a mark, I'm afraid, for that. Dennis, your middle bit.
I'll take romance.
Well done.
And I
You
said
didn't
it.
sing
I didn't
it, did
sing
you?
it.
That's
yeah.
right. It's I'll take romance. I'll take romance it was. Right. In the Savoy operas, characters are forever announcing who they are. I, they say, am a wandering minstrel. I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy. I am the very model of a modern Major General. I am a courtier, grave and serious. But they don't say what their names are, or which opera they're in. Well, that's up to you. John, here's the First Lord of the Admiralty.
I am the monarch of the sea, the ruler of the Queen's Navy, whose praise Great Britain loudly chants.
And we are his sisters and his cousins and his aunts.
And they are his sisters and his cousins and his aunts. His sisters and his cousins and his aunts.
John, who is he, and difficult this, which opera is he in?
Well, you know how I like to preserve this fiction of not knowing anything about Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yes.
And in this case, I don't know what he's called, and I don't know which opera it is.
Oh, really? He's the ruler of the Queen's Navy.
Oh, good for him. I mean,
Yes.
HMS Pinner.
Yes, Pinafore, yes, half a mark. Anyway, he's the Right Honourable Sir Joseph Porter,
Yes.
KCB. Frank, an itinerant musician in a palace courtyard.
A wandering minstrel, I, a thing of shreds and patches, of ballad songs and snatches, a dreamy lullaby.
Certainly Richard Lewis.
Yes, it is. Who is he, Frank, and who rules over Titipu anyway?
Nanki Poo.
Yes.
And he's the Mikado.
Yes, and Nanki Poo is the
Mikado about nothing.
Mikadu's son in disguise, too. That's right.
The Mikado. Hey,
Yes.
just remembered something. One of a slight little footnote in history, musical history, is that Denis and I were the first ones to do a parody of Gilbert and Sullivan, which was permitted.
Yes.
Because Miss Bridget Dolly-Cart was very hot, because parody is an infringement of copyright. But then Gilbert came out of copyright, didn't he? And Sullivan stayed in. So we thought we'd have a go. And we spent a whole day writing a parody of Gilbert and Sullivan for the London Passenger Transport Board Operatic Society to sing at the Scala Theatre. We pretended, you see. So we did a kind of bus service parody. And the BBC said, no, you can't do that. No, we're having delicate negotiations about playing Gilbert and Sullivan, and we mustn't offend them. Now, this is no joke for us, because when you've taken a day to write this bit, you haven't got another day to write another bit. So we went to the Savoy Hotel, and we shoved it under the door of Miss Bridget Dolly-Cart's apartment. And she gave us full and glowing permission to do it. Remember that? You want a bit? See if I can remember.
Yes, please.
Take us 6 to Kensal Rise, starting out from Hackney Wick. It's a 1 and 2penny fare. Miss the rush hour if you're white. And so on. And it goes on. One little lady bus conductress leaping about like a gym instructress, half servant, half seductress, cooing in voice so small. 1 more on top, that's all.
Ian, this Gilbert and Sullivan round is meat and drink to you, I think, isn't it? This man we're about here isn't really a courtier, but he's giving a lesson in deportment and carriage and dignity.
I am a courtier grave and serious.
Who is a courtier grave and serious in the opera?
The Duke of Plaza Toro.
Yes.
The chap who led his army from behind, he found it less exciting.
That's right. In the
Gondoliers, which is the only Gilbert and Sullivan opera, in fact, that I have ever appeared in a production of on the stage. I've done the Mikado
you've sung
on television.
endless GNS on the radio and on record.
Oh yes,
in
what is nowadays described as concert.
Yes,
but not on the stage.
Really?
And greatly daring. This was for Scottish opera. I wrote a parody, an extra verse of the trouble is that the duet is not as well known as the tunes that Frank been doing that wonderful parody. This is a song called "Small Titles and Orders," which is a duet for the Duke and the Duchess. I can remember the parodied version started because they talking about it's all about selling honours and how the Duke makes a lot of money by patronage and so on. And the parody I remember started, "I'm perfectly willing to earn the odd shilling as guide to the ducal apartments. There are guard dogs to baffle all those who would snaffle a cannonball from the escarpments." I won't give you the rest of it. It goes on a bit.
Anyway, you've got it. It's the Duke of Plaza Toro in the Gondoliers. Dennis, for you, a soldier.
I am the very model of a modern Major General. I've information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England, and I quote the facts historical from Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical.
Dennis, Major General who and in what?
Now, I can tell you that I heard Ian play this fairly recently in a record programme.
Yep.
Right? Right. And I remember it came from the Pirates of Penzance, and it was only because Ian was doing it that I paid that much attention. But other than that, I can't tell you anything.
He's Major General Stanley.
That's right.
Oh.
And I think that was George Baker, this incredible man who sang in the early days of recording under 8 different names, because he sang all sorts of different repertoire, all of it marvellous, in musical comedy, opera, ballads, everything. And he had 8 different names on record labels to preserve. And I would think that recording of him singing the Major General song was probably made in his middle 70s, as he was recording up to that sort of time. And he lived to be 90 and only died a year or two ago. One of the most versatile singers in the country.
Yes, lovely man, George Baker, yes. Musicians in double harness now. Let's just test your memory. This won't take a second, this round. John, Ethel Bartlett and
Ray Robertson.
And what did they do?
They played 2 Joannas.
That's right, they did. Piano duettists, Ethel Bartlett and Ray Robertson. Frank, Patience and...
Doctors.
Patience as in Gilbert and Sullivan. Patience and they had a...
Fortitude.
Well, maybe in your world, but, you know, in the pop world, they had a million seller with Tonight You Belong to Me. Patience and...
Collier.
Help! I don't know! No.
Resign.
Right, shall we get the audience to say Patience and... Thank you. Patience and Prudence for the duettists, that's right. Ian, in your case, an opera title. Mozart and...
Salieri.
Mozart and Salieri. Salieri was the teacher of Beethoven and of Schubert. Not bad. A pretty good teaching connection one way or another. Dennis, Phil Oman and...
Well, I've always heard them the other way round, as Victor Arden In other words, it was the Arden Omen Orchestra who recorded. But they played for all of Gershwin's early shows.
That's in London. They were in the stage production of Lady
Funny Face and all that.
I would call them Phil Omen and Victor Arden, but you can have them there.
On the other side of the disc.
That's right. Turn the disc over and they're Victor Arden and Phil Omen. Nice point, yes. The Flight of the Earl, The Bird on Nellie's Hat, Have You Ever Been Lonely, I Passed By Your Window. Those are the 4 songs in store in this final round. John, The Flight of the Earl. Can you... I don't think I know it, but do you?
To other shores across the sea we speed with swelling sail, yet still there lingers on the lee a phantom-inish fall. Oh, fear not, gentle ghost, your son shall prove untrue. Fain would they leave your lovely coast, their hearts they leave with you.
He was making that up as he went along, but it's very agreeable, John. Don't have any worry. Don't worry, it's all right.
It's about the departure of the O'Neill and O'Donnell, the Earls of Tyrone and Tyrconnell, when they were forced out of the country.
There's a music festival I saw advertised the other day with a prize for the best original folk song. I don't think that's on, actually.
The word folklore was invented in about 1840 by a publisher called Tom, T-H-O-M-M.
There's no answer to that.
No, carry on.
Well, that was The Flight of the Earl. Frank, still on the subject of flight, I mentioned, did I not, The Bird on Nellie's Hat?
I don't know this, actually. So I might drift off into LPTB. Can you just give me a quick reminder? Yes, but the words. I'll be your little honey, I will promise that, said Nellie with a rolling of her eyes. It's a shame to take the money, said the bird on Nellie's hat. She said the same last night to Ernie Wise. Then to Nellie Willie whispered as they had a loving kiss, I bet that you were never kissed like that. Well, he don't know Nellie like I do, said the saucy bird on little Nellie's hat. I think that was only an approximation.
Yes, I like the saucy bird on little Nellie, not the saucy little bird on Nellie's hat.
It's a long time ago since I took the boards for that one.
Dennis, have you ever been lonely?
Well, when you sing like I sing,
well,
something you get used to. It's a bit long.
Yeah, Be a Little Forgiving is my attempt at getting you in on the middle part.
Oh, yes. Be a little forgiving. Take me back in your heart. How can I go on living now that we're apart? If you knew what I've been through, then you'd know why I ask you, have you ever been lonely? Have you ever been blue? Oh, it's sad. That was sung by the Earl of Tyrconnell as he was saying goodbye to the Earl of Athlone, or whatever it was.
Little Nellie's hat.
No.
Ian, I Passed By Your Window was composed, as you probably know, by May Brahe, the Australian lady who also wrote, of course, Bless This House. Just a couple of quick dashes through. Well, not dashes, but...
I passed by your window when the morning was red, the dew on the rosebud, the lark overhead. And oh, I sang softly, though no one could hear, to bid you good morning, my dear. I passed by your window in the cool of the night. The lilies were watching, so still and so white. and God bless you. God bless you, my dear.
Shattered the window, I would think.
That was a G. That was a G, Ian. Next week an A. Meanwhile, that good night song from Ian brings our show to a close. A victory this week for John Amos and Frank Muir. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were John Amos, Frank Muir, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Steve Race and the programme was produced by Tony Schreier. We present My Music. A musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here to introduce the teams is Steve Race.
Thank you very much. Here we are at the Commonwealth Institute in London. Facing us is a distinguished audience noted for its absolute partiality. All the questions are to do with music, even if the answers aren't. So, answering the questions as usual will be John Amos and Frank Muir versus Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. The first round is devoted to performances by an outstanding British musician. John, who is he, please, and while you're at it, which virtuoso guitarist composed the music? First of all, who? Yes.
Is playing?
Yeah, the player, yes.
Well, I don't know. Since you know me and you know I know Julian Bream, I'd probably go for Julian Bream.
Yes, it's Julian Bream playing the guitar. The virtuoso guitarist who composed the music.
Well, that is a rather clever question, I think, Mr. Hayes. You probably mean Paganini.
Yeah, Paganini wrote it. Yeah. His Grand Sonata in A. But the player, you're right, was Julian Bream.
I'll tell you a rather charming story about Julian when young, when he was very, very Londonish in his talk. And he played some Spanish music, and I think it was the German or the Austrian ambassador came up to him and said, Mr. Bream, you play this Spanish music so marvelously. I think you must have Latin blood, no? And Julian said, what, me? I was born Battersea between a dog's home and a power station.
It was, too. Frank, your turn. Here's Julian Bream again, this time playing the lute. The piece is called Kemp's Jig. Yes, I'm going to ask you to explain the title, Kemp's Jig, and I think you know.
Do you want a 7-minute answer? Yeah, 30 seconds. Will Kemp was an actor and dancer, comic actor and dancer, time Shakespeare, acted with Shakespeare, probably in Shakespeare's plays. Best known perhaps now for having danced a jig from London to Norwich in 23 days, 9 of which were on the road, wrote a book about it called Will Kemp's 9 Days Wonder.
That's right. Everything you've said, everything there's known about it, except the year was, do you happen to know?
Yes,
nice round figure.
1600.
1600.
And the term 9 Days Wonder didn't come from the book.
It preceded that.
Yeah, it's in Shakespeare 8 years beforehand.
Really? Ian, Julian Bream back on the guitar now. A composer's name, please. of a Venetian boat song, you might say.
Yes. Well, that's
a help?
Well, yes, that's a very considerable help, because that means that it must be Mendelssohn.
Did I help you too soon? Were you going to say Mendelssohn anyway?
Well, I think I must be honest and say that unless you had said that, I would have been perhaps a little bit struggling. I might have even said, Steve, will you give me a hint, please?
You love him for his voice and you love him for his honesty, don't you? Do you love him enough to give him half a mark out of 1?
Yes. Right. Thank you very much.
Right. Dennis, this is Julian Bream's Consort. They're playing a piece called Bachelor's Delight. Why that title, Dennis, Bachelor's Delight?
Why would you? Because you can play it one-handed. Because he couldn't spell Rondo Capriccioso. Or was it... should it have been Battersea Delight, according to John?
Is he warming to his task?
Yes,
that's right.
You know, I have no notion.
I think he's got a mark, don't you? I think a bit about Rondo Capriccioso. It was written for a Mr. Bachelor, so it was called Bachelor's Delight, because the Bachelor's delighted in it. No, Mr. Bachelor did.
It's to appease him.
Yes, that's right, yes. Some sounds, some songs are readily, immediately identifiable. Composers have oral fingerprints, conductors do, and sometimes even orchestras. Leads me to my first question. John, I'm going to play you a recording of a chord. A chord of music. I think you'll recognise it, and I want to know, please, whether it was recorded in Germany, England, or America. Clue was in the last 3 seconds or so. Do you know the chord?
Yes, I know the chord.
Yeah.
I know the echo.
What's the chord, please?
Well, it's the climax when the dawn comes up in Richard Strauss's Also sprach Zarathustra.
Yes. Or 2001: A Space Odyssey, where you also
yes.
may have heard that. Now, recorded in Germany, England, or America, would you say?
No, I think you'll have to give me a clue for that. Was there an echo at the end of that?
Well, it wasn't the echo I was thinking of. It was the way it was sort of fashioned and swelled and then down again and swelled again and so on. It seemed to me to indicate a country of origin somewhat.
Oh, I think that's rather dangerous because, I mean, you might have a French organist playing that in America or a German organist playing that.
No, it was the orchestra, I meant, the conductor. The sort of
orchestra.
This part of it, you know.
Oh, well, then in that case, I think you're rather pushing me towards Herbert von Karajan and the Berlin Phil.
I'm sorry.
You're not.
Zubin Mehta and the Los Angeles Philharmonic. But of course you must have a half mark for getting the Zarathustra.
I used to have a recording of it. You know, organs don't always tend to be in the same pitch as the orchestra. And the first version I had with this lovely thing going joing, oing, 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 oing. When the orchestra's left, or the organ left by itself.
Frank, of the various flippant-fingered pianists around, I think this is one of my greatest favourites. One knows how he feels.
It was a long time ago, isn't it? About 20 years.
Who was it, please?
I remember that Dennis and I bought the single, and there's a photograph of his hands on the piano. Yeah. And for quite a while, there's something niggled at one, and the hands were the wrong way round.
Two left hands. Two left hands on the piano.
He professed to be one Jonathan Edwards.
That's right.
But he was a band leader, wasn't he?
And he was, yes, Paul Weston. Yeah. the singer, Joe Stafford's husband. Ian, here is an unmistakable voice.
I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree.
We which is, of course, Paul Robeson, and you wouldn't expect a mark for saying that.
Oh, I thought we'd got it in the bag.
No. Ian, can you...
I mean, I know the song.
Well, can you, I wonder, place a parody version of that song, which included the lines, "And yet I'm so afraid that I've not got initiative and drive." And yet I'm so afraid that I've not got initiative and drive. Does that ring any sort of a bell?
None whatsoever.
You don't know who wrote the words?
No.
Well, I'll tell you. I have heard from a one-time Officer Cadet Atherton of Birmingham, who remembers a Royal Artillery Christmas show in 1940, at which you wrote and sang those parody words. And I have great pleasure in passing you his letter, which you might like to write to him. Would you, Dennis, please? You might like to write him a little note, I think. No.
Well, I won't do it now.
Don't do it till the programme's over.
No. I remember his name. Yes, I do. And I remember the night we did. I think we did Cinderella. Did you Initiative and Drive? Well, of course, those at that particular cadet unit, those were the things that we were always told we had to have if we were going to get a pip on our shoulder. Initiative and Drive. So
anyway,
that's fascinating. I mean, a few weeks ago, you were telling me about my autobiography.
Caught you on that as well.
I seem to have the poorest memory for things that I wrote myself, I must say.
Never mind, you sacrificed a mark and met an old friend again.
Oh,
so
yes,
I'll
certainly write to him. Thank you very much.
Dennis, in your case, the unmistakableness belongs to a show composer.
We're looking for a piano.
A piano?
Yes, a piano.
Just any old piano.
No, we want a fiction dance. Our inspector's drastic. We are so enthusiastic when we try to like fantastic, but we rarely get the chance.
Rarely get the chance. How can you get the author, please, of that, or whose song would that be, and from which show?
Well, it was from that hard-hitting, rebarbative piece that did as much for the theatre as Look Back in Anger. It's Salad Days by Julian Slade.
Mrs. Whitehouse's favourite show.
Yeah.
Yes, Julian Slade's Salad Days. Right. Turning to the piano, I have a medley for you. 8 tunes or themes, 4 for John and Frank to identify, and 4 for Ian and Dennis. Yes, speak, Muir.
Is it possible to indicate when we've come to the end of number 4? I only get about 3, and then it comes to the end of the whole 8.
I will endeavour to remember to cough at that point.
I've been most grateful.
Right, here we go.
I'll clean your boots afterwards.
Thank you. Right, the first one, John, I think.
I think it's the Kreutzer Sonata.
Yes, it's from the Kreutzer Sonata.
Of Beethoven.
Thank you, yes, half a mark.
And the second, you were playing Mr. Muir's Symphony by César Franck.
Oh, César Franck, yes, César Franck.
César Franck.
That's right.
What a kind thought. Thank you so much.
Then came...
Ivan Stravinsky's Skivar. I didn't spell it, only approximately. But
well, I would have given him a name starting with A.
Abdul
Yeah, thank you very much. I think he's the hero, the villain.
A crummy title.
Yes, a crummy title. A Frank Crummy title. And the fourth one, and last for you, Frank?
Now is the time when the swallow
singing his perishing
starts with
song. Would you like to call it the Swallow?
I would indeed.
You may. Villanelle, perhaps, or the Swallow. Well, you've got 4 out of 4. Then... Then came...
That was B minor.
What was that one?
I know it's Pretty Little Pansy Faces, but I don't know where it is.
It's a touch of the Nutcracker.
Yes, it's from the Nutcracker. It's Dance of the...
No, I wouldn't...
Yes.
Yes.
Fruit and...
Nutcracker.
Dance of the Reed Flutes. Divertissement. Dance of the... Yes. Nutcracker Suite, anyway, okay. Then...
Taken from a county jail.
Title?
By a set of curious chance
at the title.
Well, it starts... Behold the Lord High
Executioner. It's listed as that usually. Then,
I think you've gone back to Caesar.
Yes. César Franck Symphony again, and finally
a very sneaky bit of what they say that falling in love is wonderful.
So they say it's wonderful. 4 out of 4. Everybody's got.
That's what they call a home scoring draw.
Yes.
John pointed out this is just the first time we've ever got 4 out of 4, and they have to get 4 out of 4.
That's right, isn't it? Yeah. I want to combine now the twin arts of music and painting. In the National Gallery on the north side of Trafalgar Square are many masterpieces of painting. Among the portraits there are 10 which have been reproduced on an LP sleeve, coupled with appropriate music of their place and period. John, you first. The music for the Ingres portrait of Madame Wattissier is the song Plaisir d'amour, which I think may well have been the lady's favourite song. Listen and see if you can identify the arranger. That arrangement?
No, I don't.
The arranger was Berlioz. It was Berlioz's arrangement of Plaisir d'amour.
Good old Heck.
Singer, lovely voice, wasn't it? Lovely voice, I thought. Charles Stewart.
Pity it wasn't a string quartet, and then we could have said, look, Bach in Ingres.
It was, didn't you?
But you didn't.
And you would. You would have done, too.
You didn't make it a string quartet.
Frank, another picture with appropriate music for the Doge Leonardo Loredan, picture by Bellini. The music dates, as he did, from the early 1500s. Can you identify any of the instruments playing here?
Drum. I know 3 ancient instruments. If I say them, can you tell me whether they're included?
Sure.
Sackbut.
Yes, there were 3 of those.
Rebec.
No.
Too early.
String instrument.
Tabor.
Yes, the tabor there, and the other one was a cornet with 2 T's on the end. So you have the mark. Good. Ian, The Bathers at Asnières, painted by Seurat. Now, portrayed on this LP by a famous and beautiful piece of music. Taylor on flute.
There's nothing more alarming, Steve, than when you say a famous, beautiful piece of music.
Oh, don't
it's going to look such an idiot.
Don't tell me. Do you not know it?
See, as far as bits of music associated with famous paintings are concerned, I really think I only know 2. One is L'Embarquement pour Cythère by Poulenc. Yeah. And the other is I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles by Millet.
And that's only because you play West Ham from time to time, isn't it?
And
it's neither of those.
It made me... The funny thing was that hearing that made me feel sleepy.
Yes.
And I couldn't think why. And it suddenly occurred to me that it's the kind of piece of music that they play when they say, and now BBC 2 is closing down.
Yes, that's right.
Well, I would... all that I think I could add would be of any interest to you at all would be that It has a French sound, the music.
Very good.
And I would have hazarded Debussy.
No, contemporary though, really, more or less. Eric Satie wrote it. It's one of his Gymnopédies. Gymnopédie number 1 by Eric Satie.
Case of Que Sera Sera, as you might say.
Yeah.
Or not?
Dennis, in your case, the music is a song by Dufay. Although you can't see it, can you identify the picture? Think about it during the music. When I tell you that it dates from 1434, and it shows a couple of people, a centrally placed mirror, and a small shaggy dog. Listen. Couple, the mirror, the dog. Does that mean a picture to you?
Yes.
You've drawn it, have you?
Yeah.
I call it... the second person to do that. What did you call it?
I call it Rover's Return. I don't know. No, I'm not. 1434, the 15th century, Dutch, I would think, but I wouldn't go further than that.
Yes, it's the Arnolfini marriage by Van Eyck. Does he get a mark for that?
No.
Yo. All right, yo.
It doesn't cost them anything to give me a mark. The tickets cost them nothing.
Give the boy...
Roman, isn't it? Yes, it's there.
give the gentleman a mark. Why not? I'm looking forward to all the 4 songs in the party pieces this week because they're all classics in their way, and 2 of them, I think, are absolutely beautiful. Did you say anything, Dennis?
No, I'm just wondering, is mine one?
You'll be singing. John, the Shepherd's Chorus, sometimes known as the Shepherd's Farewell. You're working up to it, I can see. Berlioz, our friend.
Would you like me to sing all 4 parts?
Yes. I'll play some of them and you sing the top one.
All
it's
right.
lovely, actually, isn't it? Let's get a nice mood going.
Just a moment, I'm trying to think of the opening words.
Yes.
All right.
You must leave your lowly dwelling, the humble crib, the stable bare, babe of mortal babes excelling, content our earthly lot to share, loving Father, loving Mother, royalty on with tender care, loving Father, loving Mother, shelter you with tender care, shelter you with tender care.
Frank, a song about the weather. I have in mind perhaps charming weather from the Arcadians. Do you know...
Can I do another weather one?
Yes, cool. Well, as long as I don't know it.
Well, I know it, I think. It's one of the 9 songs I know. It's from Traviata. And in 1897, Denis and I wrote the operatic weather forecast in here, and it goes... South cones have been hoisted in Arias Tyne, Dogger Bank, Hebrides and Thames, Dover Straits and Portland Bight. The winds veering north, round the Firth of the Forth, but it's bright nearly every night round the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, that would do nicely. Dennis, yours is a one-word title, Jealous.
That is a beautiful song.
Jealous.
No, it's too beautiful. I was in America and I saw George Burns, that marvellous entertainer, and he did something. He is able to get through a song so quickly that it's absolutely ideal for somebody with a voice like mine. And jealous is he would do jealous. Let me try and get my face like it. I'm jealous of the moon that shines above because it shines upon the one I love. I'm jealous of the birdies in the trees because birdies sing the sweetest melodies. I'm jealous of the pretty flowers too. I miss the kiss they always get from you. I'm jealous of the clock upon the shelf. What's more, I'm getting jealous of myself. Thank you.
Another one who can do impressions. No, an impression. It really was like George Burns.
It's a little bit
like it's more like Gracie Allen, but a bit like George Burns. Ian, will you cross over into Campground for us? This most lovely of all songs, in a nice resounding key of D flat, I think, for you. Okay?
Deep river, my soul is over Jordan. Deep river, I want to cross over into campground. Oh, don't you want to go to that gospel feast, that promised land, where all is peace? Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground.
Deep River, absolutely unfollowable. Let's not try to follow it, except to report that this week we have a victory for, believe it or not, in view of that song, John Amos and Frank Muir. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were John Amos, Frank Muir, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Steve Race and the programme was produced by Tony Schreier. We present My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here to introduce the teams is Steve Race.
Thank you. Here we go with another edition of My Music, and that means once again I'm introducing the fearless four, John Amos and Frank Muir, in competition with Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. Just for once, let's start with a piece of pop music for John Amos, though it did have a pre-pop existence, as he'll no doubt recognise. John, what was this in its first life?
How gentle is the rain that falls softly on the meadow, but high up in the trees serenade the flowers with the melody.
Recognise it? Try it in 3 time.
No.
No. Can I play it for you?
Good Lord, is that one of old Batch's things?
Yes, it's one of old Batch's, that's right.
A partita or an English suite or what is it?
No, I don't think it's a minuet from the Anna Magdalena notebook. A half mark.
The only thing I knew what it was out of copyright.
That's right. Frank, I'm just going to give you a reminder of that music again and then ask you a question.
How gentle is the rain that falls
give me a couple of colourful names for the singer?
That friendly bleat followed by the shriek can only be Cilla Black.
Yes. Yeah. Whose real name, of course, was White. Yes, real name White, stage name Black. Ian, back to great music in its original form. What is this?
Yes, that's from the Creation
by
Haydn.
Haydn, that gets you a mark. Yes.
It's most extraordinary that you should have asked me that and John the other one, because that piece, the original Bach piece, tremendously evocative when you played that on the piano, because one of several piano teachers that I had in my youth, all of whom nearly went mad because I was completely hopeless and unteachable, tried to pound that into me at one stage. And I was suddenly back with some poor wretched person sitting there saying, "Oh, how can you play it so badly?" I wasn't thinking that when you were playing. I was thinking
Well, Haydn's Creation brought to my mind a letter I had from Mr. Leslie Jones, who wrote from Hereford, with a story about a very county lady indeed, who was found sitting in the wrong seat at one of the Three Choirs festivals, and they tried to move her, and she said, "Oh no," she said, "I sat here for the Creation and I shall sit here for the Last Judgment." Memories for me of standing there surrounded by comedians and trying to help them count the bars. It's not as easy as it looks, that thing, is it, that piece? Dennis, who composed Haydn's Toy Symphony? Was it Haydn? No, you have thought, was it Haydn, Mozart, Jeremiah Clarke, or Herbert Mostyn?
Wendy Toy.
Wait, one day you'll find something that you're ignorant about. I won't.
You'll
find
it's not
Jeremiah Clarke, because I happen to know he composed the Trumpet Voluntary.
Indeed.
Right?
Indeed, yes.
It's not Herbert Mostyn either, because that was the name that Frank and I...
Ah, no. Ian, did you know the name Herbert Mostyn? I wonder if you remember that.
No, I didn't.
No. Sorry, carry on, Dennis.
Who knows the name Herbert Mostyn? There's one person over there that knows
John,
the name.
you spotted it. You laughed at Herbert Mostyn, didn't you? It's the name that Frank and Dennis used as a sort of floating name whenever they took part in Take It From Here.
It was round about when we were the age when we were looking for Crumpet Voluntary, actually.
Can I...
it's a long time ago. You can't expect people to remember things.
I'd like to dock you a mark and put you out of our misery, may I, over the Toy Symphony by either Michael Haydn, Joseph's brother, or Leopold Mozart, Wolfgang's father, according to what scholars
think... You said
think...
to me who wrote Haydn's Toy Symphony.
Oh, there we are.
Yeah.
The other Haydn, I suppose, might be an answer. But scholars change their minds every few months, don't they, about who wrote
Steve,
what.
you mentioned taking part in a performance with a lot of comedians and trying to help them to count the beat. I had exactly the opposite experience at an Edinburgh festival years ago, where they had gathered in to do the Toy Symphony one morning, all the sort of big stars of the festival, conductors, people like Vittorio Gui, Yehudi Menuhin, and I was the one person who was having great difficulty in counting the bars and had, I think, one of these things, you know, the bird song, and I was the only one who was getting it wrong. So I had exactly the opposite experience from you.
We once had to write one of those all-star bore things that they used to do at award shows for radio, kind of star-strangled, you know. And we had to write a finale of That's Entertainment, in which all the big award winners had to sing a line, and Gilbert Harding, do you remember, Frank? He had the line, "A quiz where the is." He never got it. Never. We rehearsed for 2 hours, and they were sort of almost opening his mouth when it came to the line. He never got it right.
You know better now. Yeah. Don't write to people like that. In the next round, there's some slight technicalities. John, what is or was a kit? K-I-T.
Kit. It's a little fiddle.
Yes.
Used so-called, I suppose, because you could put it in your kit.
Yes. In France, of course, a pochette, because you could put it in your pocket. Used especially by, a kit was used by...
Well, there is one used in one of the Bach-Brandenburg concertos.
Well, yes, but I mean in general life. Frank may know. No, they were
dancing
used...
masters.
You could put them in your pocket. They were used by dancing teachers who used to get out this thin little fiddle and fiddle away to demonstrate dancing steps. But you were right, a kit is a miniature, was a miniature violin with 3 strings, actually. Frank, how does one recognise a riff?
Well, you go north from Cairo.
You could do.
Pitch the tent.
Yes. The old caravan is rested.
Either that or, you listen to a bit of jazz,
yes.
and when one of the instrumentalists takes off into an extempore piece, that's called a riff.
Really, it's quite the opposite in jazz. It isn't.
Well, I said that.
I mean, you may as well have the mark, because you've got in the jazz field, but it's not improvised. It's a planned, repeated little phrase, like... or for that matter, a repeated phrase, a repeated riff.
Wow.
Ian, what's a hairpin?
At last, something that I don't really have to worry about too much. A mark of either crescendo or diminuendo.
Yes, that's right. What does it look like?
Well, it looks like sort of...
looks like a hairpin.
Yes, a hairpin with a very sharp point on it.
Sort of thing, yes. Wouldn't it be nice if everybody understood what crescendo means? It means getting louder. It doesn't mean loud. I always read parliamentary reports, don't you, about their voices rose to a crescendo. And, of course, it's the act of rising, isn't it, John, that's the crescendo. Anyway, Dennis, written on a piece of music, I noticed the words al coda. Can you explain that? Al coda.
You keep coming to me to further your musical education.
I do,
Steve,
I do.
You went to the Royal College of Music. You should have paid attention.
The Academy.
Royal Academy of Music. I'm sorry.
The college would like me to explain that I was at the Academy. Do go on.
Al coda.
Al coda.
Coda, I know, is the end of a piece of music. It's a sort of additional little bit on the end.
Yes.
So if you saw al coda written on it, it means that that bit is to be played by somebody whose first name is either Alfred or Albert. They take that over. You don't have to worry about it. If it says Steve Coda on it, it's down to you.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Or two coda, al coda. Yeah, fair enough. I think you got a mark for that, haven't you? Just for once in this next round, Frank and Dennis are going to have a rest, absolutely, while John, Amos and Ian Wallace try to get 4 marks each, or 8 half marks. John, Ian, listen first to these 16 bars in the famous Henry Wood Jubilee recording of Vaughan Williams' Serenade to Music, and while you're listening to the 16 singers, you may perhaps be able to guess what the 16 questions to you are going to be.
I'm writing them down already.
Really is heavenly music. Right, let's take a name at a time. They needn't be in order. I'll tick them off as you name them. The 16 singers. Ian, give us... Yes, go on.
Before we start, how many has he got written down?
No, I'll take them alternately. Ian, give us one to start with.
Norman Allen.
Yes, I'm going to tick them off here. Where are we? Is he there? Yes, he was. That's right. Norman Allen. Thank you. Right, John. peel them off. Let's have one.
Well, if you're going to start with an Allen, I'll start with an Allen. Styles Allen.
Styles Allen, yes. Ian?
Heddle Nash.
Yes.
Damn. Walter Widdup.
Yes. Ian?
Parry Jones.
Yes, that's right.
Eva Turner.
I thought it was time we had Dame Eva. That's right, yes. Ian?
Elsie Sotheby.
Yes, good.
Astra Desmond.
John, yes, Astra Desmond. Ian? Have you run out?
Mary Jarrett.
Mary Jarrett, yes.
Damn it.
Yes, that's right. John, your next one, please.
Nicholas Parsons.
What's Parsons? Bill Parsons?
No. So you fail there. Ian, another turn for you.
Roy Henderson.
Roy Henderson is right, yes. John, any other?
No, I've come to the end.
Yes.
So have I.
Yes, have you? I'll say the ones you missed, Isabel Bailey, believe it or not, Margaret Balfour, Muriel Brunskill, Harold Williams, of course, Frank Titterton and Robert Easton. But you did very well on the whole. One little bonus mark, if either of you can give the date of that Sir Henry Wood Jubilee concert.
1937.
Ian, have a guess.
I would have said about the same.
Well, go one side of it.
38?
Yes, you get the mark. October the 5th, 1938 it was.
Oh, you want us to give the addresses?
Now, you're all in it this time. Put yourselves in an imaginary situation, an imaginary scene. You are a young man, right?
What imagination.
The setting is highly romantic. It's a candlelit restaurant. You are trying to proposition a young lady without actually letting on to her that is what you're trying to do. You've rather neatly disguised your true intentions when, to your horror, the resident band strikes up a tune, and the tune has a title or perhaps words which is the last thing you'd really wish to draw to the young lady's attention at that moment. Can you tell me, please, what the tune is that the band suddenly starts to play just as you're getting somewhere?
You know, you started off exactly like one of those old-fashioned double acts that used to start off with.
Did I?
You're in a restaurant. Go with a young lady. Now, what do you say?
Quaff a glass of wine. You always quaffed a glass of wine in those things. I'd choose Wagner's Ring. I think the Ring.
The Ring.
For two reasons.
The last thing she'll get. Yeah.
Yeah. One is the Ring has unfortunate connotations, as though she might expect you to marry her. Yeah. And the other is it'd be such a terrifying sound from the sort of band that plays in a candlelit restaurant.
Yes. All those Wagnerian tubas and things. Yes. John, have you an idea what they might be playing?
Well, I think in my case, if I heard them playing, oh, no, John, no, John, no, John, no.
Yes. Even the Russian version of that choir. Yeah. Ian, any ideas?
Isn't there a song called Tell Me the Old, Old Story? or Once Aboard the Lugger and the Girl Is Mine?
Or the Lager might be better.
Dennis, any ideas?
Well, as you know, I have a rather erratic sense of tune, so I would hate the band to play the national anthem, because I'd be very likely to turn to her and say, would you care to dance?
Right. In this round, you can gain a mark and you can lose a mark. Gain it by naming the tune from which I play with the middle bit. Lose it if you should happen to sing. You can say the words, name the song, but you mustn't on any account sing. John, yours isn't really singable anyway, but it is, I hope, nameable. What is this? Any ideas? It's the middle bit of.
Is it? Yeah, well, my partner.
Yes, Frank.
Music while it works.
Yes, Calling All Workers is the title of the piece. Anyway, you haven't got that, I don't think. Frank, here's yours. This is the middle again.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Thank you.
I'm not singing, am I?
No, you're not singing. No. And you get them up. Ian, here's yours.
Come to the ball.
Come to the ball. Yeah, that's right. Dennis, here's your middle bit.
That's more or less the picture that my tennis racket presents at the moment. It's Holiday for Strings.
Holiday for Strings. Yes, that's right. Good. Here are some pretty varied questions about music, something to do with music, however remote. John, who wrote Master Peter's Puppet Show, and for what voice was the narrator's part written?
Boy's voice.
Yes, a boy treble. And the composer?
Is Manuel de Falla.
Absolutely right. Frank, what, in a word, did the organist at the Octagon Chapel in Bath find on the 13th of March 1781? Very much an 18th century man.
The lost chord.
I think you may know this. No, it had not yet been mislaid. It's a nice thought. You know. He was, among other things, he was the organist at the Octagon Chapel in Bath. But on the 13th of March 1781, he found something. I think Holst would have called it a magical discovery. I'll tell you who he was. He was William Herschel.
He found a comet. He was the royal astronomer.
Well, he found Uranus on that particular day.
Useful.
That was my clue. Telescope. Better than that.
It's useful to know where it is.
Yeah. The telescope he used was one he'd made himself. So it really is pretty good, I think. Ian, Leonard Bernstein composed a piece of music which he called simply Slava. Who conducted it? Would you guess? Slava. Do you know that name?
Yes. It's either a contraction or what for Mitislava.
Aha. Now, who might that be then?
Rostropovich.
Rostropovich.
Yes. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. See, how should that be pronounced?
Well, it depends whether you ring the BBC pronunciations unit on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday. I call it Rostropovich. What would you call him, John?
I think it is that.
I think it's Rostropovich, yes.
I shall know in future.
I think Rostropovich is for the birds, I'm afraid. Dennis, a line heard at the start of the 1978 British entry for the Eurovision Song Contest went like this: I was tossed and turning like a ship without a sea. What does that mean, Dennis?
Well, it means they want to get another lyric writer, I believe.
One more.
It didn't win, did it?
You get a mark for that. There's no better answer. It's absolute rubbish, isn't it? I was tossed and turning like a ship without a sea.
Actually, I was in contact with some people who are what's called, they're an American company, they're what's called marketing agents. And they have a slogan that says, "You furnish the ships, we'll supply the ocean."
It's absolutely meaningless.
Splendidly meaningless.
Yeah. Another lovely one is "Still waters run deep."
Yeah.
They don't run at all if it's still.
Or best foot forward, because that would imply you've got more than 2 feet. Yeah. Otherwise it would be better foot forward. Yeah. We got a lot of those.
Yeah. Atalanta, Lionel Monckton, George Jessel and Marie. Those names occur in some connection, these 4 final songs, the party pieces, as we call them. John, from Handel's Atalanta, Come Beloved, Care Salve.
Yes. McCormack used to sing this rather well.
Ah, too bad.
Me.
Would you like a note?
Yeah, I'd like several, yes.
Then
really took it out of him, didn't it?
Yeah.
Go and have a lie down.
Yeah.
Super.
I must go up to the sea again.
Frank, from Lionel Monckton's The Arcadians, all down Piccadilly, the Little Willie one.
Shall we join hands and step off in the dark together? All down Piccadilly, dilly, 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 round by the park. You'll see ladies running after Little Willie till it gets dark. I just simply shilly, shally, shally, shilly. I'm fancy free. Though they come and try to woo me, if by thousands they pursue me, they can't catch me.
Dennis, Harry Ruby and Georgie Jessel wrote a terrible song about he say ooh la la wee wee. It's been lurking on my mind. Can you exorcise it?
Take it at a fairly slow thump, because we're going back quite a bit. She'd say comprenez vous papa, and he'd say ooh la la wee wee. She'd smile and whisper merci beaucoup. He'd answer, I don't mind if I do. She'd say, if you'll be my papa, then I will be your ma, Sherry. Pinch his neck and I forgot. You can't sing fractured French when you've got a fractured voice as well. Leave it there. Ta-da!
Ian, Marie, not to be confused with Poi or even Joey. Marie, as in Oi Marie.
Oi Marie.
Okay, lovely tune this is.
Yes,
tune.
I was once prevailed upon to sing this song in a cafe in Rome. We were having a sort of ice cream and so on. Gelati and frutti in the late evening. And one of these marvellous groups of musicians came in with the fiddle and guitar and so on.
And the hat afterwards.
And some people said, go on, you sing something. And I was saying, no, go on. And so I was pressed into service to sing this. And the Italians in the cafe were delightful and applauded and so on. But the British tourists were all embarrassed to a man.
Oi Marie, quanto sono che perdo per te. Fammi dormire, abbracciato non poco per te. Oi Marie, quando sono che perdo per te. Fammi dormire, oi Marie, oi
Another helping of ice cream.
That's right, yes. And what better news have I for you after that than that this week it's been a victory, I see, from the score sheet for Ian Wallace and Denis Norden.
Taking part in My Music were John Amos, Frank Muir, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Steve Race and the programme was produced by Tony Schreier.